somebody strangled to death. This is one of the things that a coroner will look for when they're doing an autopsy. They will actually look for this bone being broken because that lets them know some type of strangulation took place. Which is kind of cool, you know, about the highway there. Finally, done with the skull. What's that?
What would you call it?
We can't.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if we were to try to palpate this, we would break it. And bye-bye. Sorry. Alright. You know, basically, is what would happen. Yeah. But for the most part, for us, it's supporting the base of our stomach. Yeah. Now, the vertebral column. Yay! Alright. Now, a couple of things to know about the vertebral column. Do you happen to know the different divisions of it? Like this one right here? Cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccyx. Alright? Now, what's really good about this structure? Because when you look at the structure of the bone of the vertebral column, okay, when you look at the structure of the vertebral column, we have these really two cool vertebrae. They are C1 and C2. Alright? This is, of course, the area that the skull sits. Okay? And because C1 and C2 take the structure that they do, it's the reason they're trying to represent it here and here, but if I had them separate, which I will find before we leave today, okay? C1 and C2, their structure, the reason that we can do this, okay, are because of the way these two articulate. Now, when I say the term articulate, this means that I'm letting you know how these bones connect. Okay? So when I look at the vertebral column, it's going to support the weight of the head and the trunk of the body. It will give protection to the spinal cord, which they're representing right here in yellow. Okay? It allows spinal nerves, these things in yellow that they see show branching out. But now these would continue to branch. They would branch around, down, up, that sort of thing. Okay? But what exits is a spinal nerve, which hopefully when you get into part 2, your professor gives you a really good explanation of these because these are very important. Okay? Provide sight for muscle attachment. Look at how bony, protrudy, bumpy, ridgy, holy, all these things are. Okay? That's because there are tons of muscles attached to it. All right? And how many muscles do we have in the body? Over 600. And the majority of them attached here somehow. I'm not kidding. Woohoo! Lots. We get the movement of the head and the trunk. In an adult, for the vertebral column, we have 26. In the embryo and the growing child, 33 to 34, because some of these bones have not fused. Okay? We'll see that, for example, the coccyx hasn't fused when babies are born. It allows for, number one, spitting the baby out. Okay? Number two, growth. Alright? So, they will harden and fuse together. Same thing for the sacrum. Alright? These are going to be bones that are fused together. Very bumpy, ridgy, and everything else. The regions, like we were saying, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, coccygeal. Their structure of the bone is very easy to identify. Like I said, when itty bitty baby is born, they come to us in the shape of a C. But as itty bitty baby learns to roll over, sit up, crawl, walk, the shape of their spine changes. And it takes on this S shape that we see. So each region correlates with the curvature of the spine. So we have the 4. We have some abnormal curvatures that can occur. When we have an exaggeration of the lumbar region, okay, that's going to be lordosis. When there's an exaggeration of the thoracic region, it's called kyphosis. When it does this number laterally, it's scoliosis. All right? And I think they still check for that at school, I think, but I can't remember. So these would be abnormal curvatures, and all could be painful. They could be, very debilitating to the people that have them. When we talk about the bones of the vertebral column, the bones of the vertebral column have some terms that go with them. We say that they're going to have a body. Now, one of the things about the body of a vertebra, people try to determine what region of the spine of the vertebral column this belongs to. That is not the best way to talk about how is this one lumbar, thoracic, cervical, lumbar, thoracic. So that's not the best way to determine. The best way to determine what area of the vertebral column a vertebra goes to. Let's look at the spinous process. This area right here. This area right here. Do you notice the difference between the two? Okay? This one pointed downward. Okay? This one pointed outward. If we look at the region of the vertebral column, cervical, which has 7, okay? Cervical pretty much points outward with a little bit of downward slope. But one thing about the cervical, they're bifid. They've got teeth sticking off on each side. But what do you notice about thoracic. Which way is that spinous process going? It's definitely pointing downward. What about this lumbar region? Outward. That's how you tell the difference. Because if you try to tell the difference between them based on the size of their body, well, this right here is going to be T12. This is L1. Is there really that much of a difference? No. The best way is based off of these spinous processes. So if I were to have one of these sitting out, and I say, what region of the vertebral column does it belong to? Which one would you tell me it belongs to? My lumbar, because it's sticking straight out. See how that works? Relatively easy. Okay? Now, the other part, these other openings, the holes, all that sort of thing, it's letting you know that these bones of the vertebral column, well, in my cervical region, I'm going to have my vertebral canal that runs right down through the middle of every single one, okay? Because that is going to be my spinal cord. But when one bone articulates to the next, and to the next, and to the next, there's another hole that comes up on the lateral side. This is where my spinal nerves get to exit. And that's kind of cool. Because, ever heard of somebody saying they have a herniated disc? Have you ever known what that means? What is it? We hear different terms associated. We hear pinched, we hear slip, we hear compressed, okay? What happens is the material in this fibrocartilage, which is the disc between two vertebrae, gets pressed out. It should be on the inside giving us the cushion and the protection, but it's not. And because it gets pressed out, it gets to have a close relationship with a spinal nerve, and therefore usually creates pressure on that spinal nerve and makes things hurt. Because that spinal nerve will be irritated, and because the nerves are pretty much busy 24/7, it's constantly getting an impulse, and therefore whatever this nerve might be connected to, okay, like say, oh, that's sciatica. Ooh, man, that sciatica nerve's messing up today. That's what they're talking about. Somehow there's compression from one vertebra to the next. That cartilage is not as thick as it should be, and it's pressing, and it's making it very painful. And it can be very painful. Depending on the treatment of it will determine how better you get. Okay? And there's a lot of stuff out there now for treatment of injuries such as this.
So that backing in like your lumbar region, like the nerve to your leg, it hurt in your leg,
Yeah.
like in your back.
Now, here's what happens. When cartilage gets damaged, remember, cartilage does not have any blood supply, nerve supply. Alright? So usually what will happen is something will pop. Alright? You might bend over to pick something up, and all of a sudden you hear, pow! I wonder what that was. And you're like, well, that's kind of interesting. And you go on about your business.